Hi quilting friends, welcome back to my channel Straight Stitching. Today I want to talk to you about quilting rulers, one of the tools that you will need as you launch your journey into quilting. I have 12 rulers here that I'm just going to show you. You don't need 12 rulers to start quilting, but I just kind of want to show you the ones that I have and then also tell you which ones I use the most, which will probably help to give you an idea of which size rulers that you might want to invest in. So to start, I'll start with this. This is my largest ruler, which is 23 and a half, I think it is, or is it 24 and a half by 6.5. This is a ruler that came in a set that I got from Walmart. This is probably the first, one of the first rulers that I got. I use it quite frequently. It's actually kind of beat up and should be cleaned a bit. But yeah, this is a ruler that I would recommend that you have. It's not very expensive. It is still available at Walmart, even though they are reducing the size of their craft section. So I would say go ahead and get something like this if you can get it. And then I also have another Fiskars ruler. This ruler is 7.5 inches squared. I never use this ruler, so I'm pretty sure it came in a kit. This is not a size that I use, so I mean, unless you're using or planning to make a lot of 7.5 inch squares, I would say you do not need to invest in anything this size. I have a couple of rulers from Omnigrip. I very rarely use these rulers. In fact, I don't like them. I don't know if you can see them. They're quite busy. There's a lot of different colors. Well, I guess really two colors, the black and this neon green type color. But this ruler is very busy and not really to my liking. This ruler is 5.5 inches squared. It's a reasonable size. It's, you know, 5.5 inches is a popular size for quilt blocks, so maybe it's something that you want to invest in, but for me, it's a bit too busy for my liking. And then there's another Omnigrid ruler that I have here. This one measures at 6.5 inches squared. I very rarely use this ruler, but if you've been watching or are watching the Around the Block quilt series, I used this in one of the videos, so I won't say that it's useless, but again, it's made in the same style, so it's very busy. A lot going on there. I don't actually care for that. Then I have another group of rulers here. I don't see a name on them, and I'm pretty sure that I got these from Amazon. This is a 12.5 inch ruler. There's a lot going on here. There's 60 degree, 45 degree, 30 degrees. So that's helpful if you're cutting materials at different angles. Again, this is 12.5 inches, and then there's also a 9.5 inch of the same. I don't use these rulers very frequently. Well, I'll say I don't use the 9.5 inch ruler much at all. The 12.5 inch one, I don't use it for measuring quilt blocks or pieces to cut, but what I do use it is when I'm squaring up my quilts. So I like to just you know, square as much as possible and then connect with straight lines. So I do use this in my squaring up process for my quilts. Used a bit more frequently are Missouri Star quilt blocks that I got. Again, I'm pretty sure I got these on Amazon, but they are manufactured by Missouri Star Quilt. This is a 10-inch block. I use this all the time, so this is a very practical size for me to use. It also has the different lines on the diagonal, so if you're interested in cutting materials at angles, this is a useful ruler to have. And then I use the 5 by 15 inch ruler all the time. So this is another great one. It also has a 45 degree, two 45 degree lines on it. So this is good for when you're needing to just measure and make sure you're at the right angle. Very useful. This is a 2.5 by 7-inch ruler. I use this all the time as well. A lot of what I do in terms of like binding, and even some scrap projects are usually 2.5 inches. So this is very useful. And then lastly, for Missouri Star Quilt rulers, I have a 5-inch ruler. This one I use pretty frequently as well, only because when I'm cutting up my scraps or leftover material, I like to keep 5-inch squares. So I like this square because, or this ruler, because it's already measured to 5 inches. So very useful. And then 3 rulers that I use very often are by Creative Grids. I like Creative Grids. I don't know if you can see the way they make their rulers. So they have these different bubbles with the measurements, so 1 to 4 inches, as well as the 1/2 inches. So this is very useful. And when I'm cutting up my scrap materials, I like to cut them again. 4.5 inches is very popular. I make a lot of 4.5 inch, 1/2 inch square or half square triangles. So this is useful for trimming. I use this very often. I will say that Creative Grid rulers are not cheap. So, you'll want to look to see which sizes you think you might want and use frequently so that you're getting the most use out of your funds. This is a 3.5 inch ruler by Creative Grids. Again, I use this very often because I do cut my scraps into 3.5 inch squares. And then finally, I have a Creative Grids ruler that is 2.5 inches, used all the time. So if you can get a ruler that's 2.5 inches, 3.5 inches, 4.5 inches, for me, those are very useful because those are the sizes that I pre-cut my scraps into. But not useful, right? So if you start off with a larger ruler, let's say the 5-inch square ruler by Missouri Star Quilt, you can very clearly still cut squares that are less than 5 inches, but not with great ease because you have to make sure that you're measuring appropriately. Then the last ruler that I have is this ruler here. It's by Valenwood. This ruler is 13 inches squared. It's for making t-shirts. You probably can't see it, but there's little cutouts throughout this ruler so that you can measure the center of your shirt. So I do use this when I'm making my t-shirt quilts. And also I sometimes use this to square up my quilts. So if I were making a recommendation to a new quilter in terms of the rulers that I would definitely suggest that you invest in, I would say the larger ruler here, the 23.5 by 6.5 inch ruler. Very, very useful. You can do quite a lot with this ruler. And then in terms of, being on the larger size but not as large, I do like the 5-inch by 15-inch ruler and the 10-inch square ruler and the 5-inch ruler. Really, I guess I would say all of the ones that I have by Missouri Star Quilt, and this is not an endorsement of the company itself, but the different sizes for the rulers are very functional. So this is a 5-inch ruler. This is 2.5 inches by 8 inches actually. This is the 10-inch square, and then the 5 by 15. I can't recall if I bought these individually or if they were in some type of kit, but you can check out Amazon and or this company's website if you so desire, but strongly recommend the Fiskars 23.5 by 6.5 inch ruler. You'll be able to do a lot with this. I use this a lot in addition to like the 10-inch ruler and the t-shirt ruler for squaring up my quilt. So you can really start on one side and kind of work your way all the way down and make sure that you have a straight line. So hopefully you found this video helpful. I'll do another video on different tools that you'll need for quilting, but obviously rulers are very important. There's so many different rulers on the market. Some of them are less expensive, and then some are very expensive. So you do want to do your research and make sure you're getting the things that are going to be useful to you on your quilt journey. It's very easy to get excited and buy everything, and then you end up, you know, like me with a bunch of rulers where, you know, you're not even using them all, so they're just taking up space. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to the channel. And then also please click the bell so that you can be notified of my next video. And leave a comment, please. I really love to see comments. You know, what kind of rulers are you using? Have you, are you like me? Have you gone out and bought a bunch of things that you're probably not going to use? And then I wonder, is there like a, I wouldn't say a resale market, but maybe a good place to, like, if you're part of a quilt guild, that would be a good place to maybe swap off rulers for things that you've purchased and aren't going to use. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment, and we'll see you in the next video.